Welcome to Get Paid for Your Pad, the definitive show on Airbnb hosting, featuring the best advice on how to maximize profits from your Airbnb listing, as well as real-life experiences from Airbnb hosts all over the world. Welcome. We are your hosts, Josefa Kapadia and Jasper Rivers.
Get paid for your pad. 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 Get paid for your pad.
Get Paid for Your Pad, episode 75. And this episode is a very special one because for the first time in the history of Get Paid for Your Pad, we have a German guest. And obviously, normally we don't allow German people to be on the podcast. But this time we'll make an exception. So, Melanie, welcome to the show.
Hi, Jasper. I feel very honored to be on your show. Although
you must be. You must be. No, I actually really like German people. I just spent a week in Lisbon with a lot of German people, and they were all digital nomads, and Melanie was one of them. So we went to Lisbon and we masterminded and we worked and we exchanged experiences and we partied a little bit as well, which was pretty fun. So yeah, how was that? How did you enjoy it?
I really did enjoy it. It was great to meet other people that are traveling a lot and working online and be very creative and exchange ideas and get feedback for your own ideas. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think we had a great time.
And for those who don't know what digital nomads are, they're basically people who do not have a job that ties them to a certain location. So it's typically people who work online, either as a freelancer or they run a website, and so they can travel wherever they want to go. And what typically happens is that people tend to congregate in certain areas because it's kind of lonely by yourself. So and now there's all these people who organize conferences and work camps and all sorts of masterminds, events, etc., where we'll meet each other, and it's usually a lot of fun. So that's what a digital nomad is. So can you tell us a bit about your background, Melanie?
Yes. So I've been working in the field of online marketing for the past years, like in a company and not being a digital nomad. So I have my home base in Germany, in Freiburg, in the Black Forest region. And since July of this year, so very new, I have started basically to be a digital nomad and work online as a freelancer in online marketing. And I'm also developing right now my own blog, which will be a blog about my vegan lifestyle and traveling. So I'm very excited to see where all this journey goes.
So you recently quit your job?
Right.
Just a couple months ago?
Just a couple of months ago.
How did that feel?
Very good, very freeing, very nice.
Was your boss sad to see you leave?
Well, I mean, I've been working there for 4 years, and I think it was time to leave, and it was okay for them. But I still have contact to my colleagues. We didn't, go in the bed or anything. So
now you are planning to travel the world?
Yes. I think digital nomads are not necessarily have to travel constantly. So I like to have some place where I can come back to. But I would like to live in the south of Europe and then travel from there. Mm-hmm. So yes, I'm planning on traveling more. But I've been, even with my corporate job, actually, I've been traveling a lot. Mm-hmm. Also the last year. So even that, I think, is not an excuse not to travel. So it's still possible.
Mm-hmm. And what are the countries that you would like to travel to?
The countries I would like to travel to are like Europe. First of all, I like to see more of Europe, like south of Italy, Spain, France, and Eastern Europe. And except that, well, like everywhere, basically, like Asia, Thailand, Indonesia, South Africa, I think is very interesting, and South America. So there are some places on my list that I want to go. So,
Yeah, that's some exciting places. So,
but I think you have more experience with that than I do.
yeah, I've been on the road almost 5 years now.
Yeah,
Actually, yeah, pretty much 5 years. So I'm still loving it.
yeah.
So tell us about Airbnb. How did you hear of Airbnb?
I started Airbnb as an Airbnb guest. So when I was traveling 2 years ago, because all the hotel, well, I was, I think, in the south of France and in Nice, and the hotels were all very expensive. So I was searching for an alternative to have a stay that was not breaking my bank account. And then this is how I found Airbnb, and I stayed with a very nice couple in their flat. And it was such a great experience because, yeah, you instantly have contact with local people, and we went to have dinner together, and yeah, we had a great time. And so I was thinking, wow, that's really a cool concept. You know, you invite people to stay with you in your house, which allows you basically to have money yourself to travel to other places. So, so I started to rent one room in my place as well, and I put up an ad on Airbnb. And yes, since then I'm renting my room or one room in my apartment to people all over the world. And yeah, it has been great. I had people from literally everywhere till now, from like Japan to South Korea to USA, India, Europe, so all kinds of places. I was still, because Freiburg is such a little town, I was amazed by how many people from all over the world come there to visit, but it's actually really like that.
So when you started out, did you immediately get inquiries?
Yeah, I did. I think I was one of, when I started Airbnb, there were actually not so many people doing it in my city.
When was this, by the way?
It was like 1 year ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because one question I get a lot from listeners and from readers is they ask me if they can do Airbnb in their city, because they always say, well, I don't live in a major city, you know, I don't live in like Amsterdam or New York or Berlin or and sometimes they say, well, I don't see a lot of other people doing it. So I'm really not sure if I'm going to get any guests.
Yeah, but especially then you probably get more guests because.
Well, exactly. It's the
so
if nobody's hosting, then nobody can stay there. So I always tell people, just create a listing. It's free.
Yeah, just try it.
And it only takes a couple hours. And if you don't get inquiries, then you can find something else.
Yeah.
But so in your case, you live in Freiburg in Germany. Now, I assume that most people who are listening have probably never heard of this city. How big is your city? How many people live there?
It's like 200,000.
So it's only 200,000 inhabitants.
Yeah.
I'd say it's a fairly small. It's a small city, especially for Germany. There's some really big cities in Germany.
No, it's not so big. That's why I say it's a reasonable small city. But the Black Forest is reasonable, famous. I think the Black Forest region. So still people want to see it, and there's a lot of tourism. But there are also a lot of hotels and bed and breakfast and other places. So in the end, if you are traveling, you have a lot of options, but still, Airbnb is going well. So
Yeah, and I think that's another thing to look at if you're wondering if your place is a good place to start an Airbnb. Just look if there's any hotels around, because if there's hotels, then there's demand for accommodation, which means there should be a demand for Airbnb as well.
yeah, right. And I think a good strategy is also to start with a like lower price. That's what I did. So I started with a lower price, and then once I had my first like 10 reviews or something, I increased the price, and I also asked people that were staying for me for feedback while they were staying with me, because I realized that after they gone, so even if you write them, they don't give you that much of a feedback, but if you ask them directly, they will give you feedback also.
Did you have any concerns before you started hosting?
Yes, I did actually. I did. Well, I did feel a little weird, like renting my house to strangers, basically. So it is. Sorry.
Because you're renting out a spare room, right? It's not,
Right.
You don't rent out your entire house.
Right. So I live there too. So I think it's different if you just have a place where you don't live, probably. I live in my place too. So yes, you don't want someone to make a mess or, steal something or make trouble or get in trouble with your neighbors because they're loud, or I don't know, any concerns you can have. But so far I've not had problems with anyone. I feel that people that do Airbnb are generally very open-minded people and friendly people. And also I also request on my page that people, if they want to rent my room, they should please write me a message, like where they come from, why they're staying in Freiburg, and just because I think it's a personal experience and I want to know something about people before I confirm my booking. So if I have the feeling that someone is like not a friendly person, or he writes me something, strange, then I just don't accept the booking. But so far, I had a good feeling of when people actually write me a nice message with their reasons and so on, that they, that if I have a good feeling, then normally before the booking, then normally it turns out fine. So, yeah.
And what was the main reason why you started hosting on Airbnb, even though you had some concerns?
Well, I think first I learned also on Airbnb that for some concerns you are covered. So, for example, they offer this insurance, or if something really, and also you can ask for a commission fee.
You mean the deposit?
A deposit, right. So if someone really steals something or breaks something or does something wrong, you can actually have the deposit. So I think there are some security things on Airbnb. Also, people have to verify their ID and so on. And that's, for example, what I also always do. As soon as someone checks in, I make a copy of their ID. And people understand that, in every hotel you have to give your ID too. So that's what makes me feel more secure. And like I say, with having more people coming, I just got a better feeling about that. And I just wanted to try it out. And the main reason also, I just wanted to try it out despite my concerns and see if my concerns are really true or not. And like I said, till now they've not been true. So
So you ask every single guest for a copy of their ID?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and then the guests never mind?
No, they understand. I say I give them the key, and I say, as a deposit or as a guarantee for the key, I would like to make a copy of your ID. And most people totally agree with that. I mean,
interesting. Yeah, I've never heard that before, but
yeah.
So that's cool.
Well, because I think it's clear to people that also I want to know with whom I'm dealing. So, it's fine.
And maybe you want to check that the person who's standing in front of your door is actually the person who booked your Airbnb in the first place. Which also makes a lot of sense because, I recently did a post on all the horror stories that are out there. There's a bunch of them. And
I remember horror stories.
What's that?
I don't want to read horror stories. So maybe get concerned again.
No, so maybe you should close your ears for a little bit as I talk about it. But so there was one story of where things went completely wrong. I think it was somewhere in Canada, where some Airbnb guests really made a huge mess and broke a lot of stuff in the apartment. And so when the owners came back, they were kind of in shock, and they had they had a lot of damages. So Airbnb ended up paying for all the damages. But still, it's a pretty, it's obviously a really bad experience.
Right.
But one thing that struck me was that the people who showed up at the apartment, they weren't the people that originally booked the Airbnb.
Oh.
And so, I was thinking if I wanna rent an Airbnb for the sake of like throwing a huge party and I'm making a huge mess. I mean, not that I would do something like that, but I imagine that the people who would, they would do anything to make sure that they won't be able to track them, right?
Right.
And so I think verifying somebody's identity is not a bad idea at all.
Yeah.
Because that definitely would have prevented this experience.
Yeah. But I even have written this, I think, in my description, so that I take the verification. So, if someone really doesn't want to do it, then they just don't have to book my apartment. So if they agree with that. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want
to. But like I said, most people completely understand that I want to have some verification in exchange for my keys to my house. So
do you interact a lot with your guests during their stay, or?
I do. Well, like I said, I'm living there as well, so I'm not renting a whole apartment. I'm renting a room in my apartment where I live myself. So, but it's different for every person. Actually, there are persons that come for work, for example, and they just work all day, and then in the evening they are tired and want to be by themselves, so I leave them alone. And then there are other people that really like, talking, and then so it's very different. It depends on the guest, and I try to really, be be kind of like my guests like to be. So if they want to have their quiet time, I respect that, and sometimes I need my quiet time too, right?
How do you let your guests know if you need your quiet time?
Well, I mean, I just, if I want to go to bed early, I just say, okay, I just need to do some work, or I need to go to bed early today, so that's fine. And then I just go to my room and close the door, and then, I think it's clear that. But I had also guests which, we made dinners together, or I showed them around Freiburg and we had coffee or went on a trip together. So, yeah, it really depends on the person. If sometimes you meet great persons and you just say, hey, you want to see something, and I take you on a trip. And if I have the time in this moment and the person is interested, why not? So.
And do you share any of the other spaces in your apartment, like a living room, a kitchen, etc.?
Yeah, I share the kitchen and the bathroom. Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah, so we share that, and that works well.
Do people typically? Because this is interesting for me because I never meet really my guests.
Yeah.
Because I rent out my whole apartment.
Yeah.
But I always wonder, do people cook a lot, or do they go out? Do
Yeah.
they go out for food, or do you cook together? I guess it depends. But
Yeah.
what's most common?
Um, that also really depends on the guest, but I think most people that come for work or for a short weekend trip, they go out to eat. They don't cook so much. They store something in the fridge for breakfast and stuff, but they don't really
Hmm.
cook. But then there are also people that, sometimes they stay 1 or 2 weeks and they really kind of maybe just move to Freiburg and are about to find a place or something, and then
Hmm.
they also cook. But mostly like tourists or people that come for work, they go out to eat
Hmm.
most of the
Do you
time.
provide anything for your guests, like breakfast or drinks or?
I provide coffee and tea in the morning. I've tried to do breakfast as an option, but I felt it doesn't work very well because I have to buy a lot of stuff, and if people just stay one day, then so I bought one time. I bought a lot of stuff, and then they didn't eat it, and it's also maybe because I'm on a vegan diet, so it's hard for me to provide, other stuff than vegan stuff because I have to throw it out if the guests don't eat it, and yeah, I kind of felt that most guests. I offered it for a while, but actually not many for like an extra fee of like I think €7 a day or something.
Hmm.
But I felt also that most people, buy their own breakfast anyway. They don't even want it to have that. So now I just say, okay, tea and coffee is included, and everything else they buy themselves or go to there's like a bakery next door, so I also recommend that for breakfast. And people go there or they just buy their own things.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And who was your most remarkable or most memorable guest?
Oh, my most memorable guest. I had a girl once from Canada, and she was really nice. I think she stayed for like 1 week, and we had a lot of fun. It was like having a really cool roommate.
Hmm.
So, and with her, I also did some trips, and we did some stuff together. So, yeah, it was really nice hanging out with her, and we had some interesting conversations during her stay.
Hmm. And how do you price your listing? How do you determine the prices?
Um, I For the moment, I also use this tool from Airbnb that sets the prices.
Hmm.
But now I want to also try out this tool that you recommended last week. And else, I just, generally have higher prices in the summer
Yeah.
because this is more like a most touristy time. I experienced that in the winter month, not so many people, um, come to Freiburg to make vacation. So I have a lower price in the winter time. But except that, I just still try out, different prices. And I also look how the other places that are on Airbnb in my same region set their prices. Yeah,
Hmm.
basically it.
And before that, how did you come up with your base price? Did you just look at some other listings and?
I looked at some other listings, right? But I also thought about, also what is it worth to me to rent out my room and not have my whole apartment for this time. So um, there's a certain point where you say, okay, for I don't know, like €5 a day, it's just not worth it to do it, right? So
Yeah, I'd say so.
So yes, but I compared with other prices, and then in the dashboard you also can see how many people look at your place. So if I for example have a high price and I see okay now no one's looking at it, then I might set my price lower a little bit. But in general, I have higher prices in the summer month than in the winter.
Yeah, that makes sense, because I think in the winter it's a little bit cold, right, in Freiburg?
Yeah, it's cold.
How often do you have guests? Do you rent it out full time, the room, or is it certain periods? Or
No, I don't rent it out full time, and so it really depends. I mean, I could rent it out full time if I have enough requests to rent it out full time, but it depends also. Yeah, I just also like to see the people, so I if I don't like a person, or if the person is not sympathetic to me, like I said before, I don't accept a booking. So,
you're fairly selective.
I am a bit selective with my guests, because, like I said, I also live there, and I don't want to share my apartment with someone that's not resonating with me. So, yes, I could rent it out. Probably a lot more if I really would wanted it, but now I think like on average like 2 weeks a month, something like that.
2 weeks a month, okay. And do you cover part of your rent with
Yes.
income, or how much? What percentage of the rent are you able to cover with 2 weeks? It's just one room out of how many rooms are in your place?
2
rooms. So it's like your room and the spare room.
Right. How much of my rent? On average, I would say like 70-80%.
70-80%.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not paying a lot of rent.
I don't pay a lot, right? And I invested to go to other places too, and yeah.
Okay.
And I don't rent my room when I'm traveling, so that's why normally I don't rent my room when I'm traveling myself, so then it's empty. Yeah.
Have you ever considered renting out your entire apartment when you're away?
No, because I have a lot of personal stuff there in my room, so I would have to remove everything from that room.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So what's some of the tips that you can give to Airbnb hosts who are either just starting out, or those who are thinking about starting an Airbnb but haven't decided yet?
I would recommend to start with a lower price and just try it out, try some different prices, see how it works, how the feedback is. And if you are still, like I said, insecure or have concerns, do like I do, be selective with your guests, ask them questions, don't be shy to ask questions, where they come from, why they want to stay in your place, what's their background. So I always feel like if I know something about the person, I feel more secure, and I'll make sure it's a real person, because sometimes you also get like spam emails, I have the feeling, and you don't want to do that.
And one last question. I remember when I met you in Lisbon, you told me you really wanted to read the book.
Yes,
Get
I
Paid
read
for
it.
Your Pad. And so I'm very curious. Did you read it?
I read it, yes.
You did? Oh.
I did.
Well, let us know your thoughts.
That was interesting. I liked the book. I think it's a good book for people that just start out. I think you did a good job to explain the basic functions of Airbnb, That was something that I already knew because I've already doing it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But there still have been some things that I learned something too. So, for example, I never thought about how I can increase my listing, and there are certain techniques to kind of move your listing to the top, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all the criteria for that were new for me, or a lot of them were new for me. So yes, I think it's a good book for people that start out, but even if you are hosting for a while, you might still learn something from the book.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you learned something, even though you're an experienced host. And for those who are interested in the book, if you go to Amazon and you search for Airbnb, our book is still showing up on the #1 spot. There's a lot of other books about Airbnb now. There's a few of them coming out every month, it looks like. There's almost 100 books on Airbnb now. And so I'm very happy that that our book is still on the #1 spot. So if you want to read it, you can check it out on Amazon, but also you can go to getpaidforyourpad.com, where we have a lot of free resources. You can sign up for our mailing list, and we'll send you some really helpful emails with lots of information. And so with that, we have come to the end of this episode. So Melanie, thank you so much for your time. It's been really cool to chat to you, to the first German guest. I think maybe we'll do a few more now.
Yeah, great.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Get paid for your pad. 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 Get paid for your pad.